Here's a fun fact for you. A certain group of investors, 75% of them said that they choose their investments based on what's displayed in their mobile trading app. 3/4 of this segment. That's how they make their choices of what stocks to buy, trade, sell, through what's displayed on their mobile trading app. What that means is when they're logging in to their, they're opening their phone and they're logging into a mobile trading app, what's displayed there, said by that app to recommend, that's what they buy. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What group is this that's doing this? We're going to reveal all in today's episode. But first, I want to share with you a story. In the bustling town of Prospera, a young man named Tony was determined to navigate the world of finance all on his own. He was scared of fees, didn't want to pay them, and he believed he could handle everything independently without the need for a team. So, ignoring any advice from peers, mentors, Tony forged ahead, making decisions based solely on his limited knowledge and experience, and maybe a little bit of what he could read on the internet or on YouTube, see on YouTube. As time passed, Tony found himself facing increasingly difficult challenges. Without the support and guidance of real people he could really talk to, he struggled to budget effectively, save for the future, make wise investment choices. When unforeseen obstacles arose, Tony had no one to turn to for help or advice. Despite his best efforts, Tony's finances just unraveled. He found himself drowning in debt, unable to dig himself out of the hole he had created. The stress and the pressure of his financial struggles took a toll on his mental and emotional well-being, leaving him feeling isolated and overwhelmed. In the end, Tony realized that trying to go it alone had been a mistake. And he now understood the power of building a supportive network of trusted allies who he could go to provide advice, encouragement, assistance when needed. With humility and determination, Tony set out to assemble a money team, knowing that together they could overcome any challenge that came Tony's way.
In a world where chaos seems to reign supreme, where uncertainty lurks around every corner, and financial markets are now more unpredictable than ever, there's one place you can turn to find clarity and control. Welcome to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast.
Hey, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Amanda.
Join us as we dive deep in the world of personal and business finance
to assist you in navigating through the chaos and building the financial future you deserve.
We believe when conventional financial thinking doesn't get you where you want to go,
you need wealth wisdom.
So if you're ready to take control of your financial destiny,
tune in to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast.
Because in a chaotic world, your money shouldn't be.
Subscribe now and never miss an episode.
Okay, thanks for joining us. This is Foundation 11 of 12, so you're toward the end of the series. Not required that you go back and check out the first 1 through 10, but I highly recommend it. These are building on each other, and I'm super glad that you found this one. When it comes to investors, there's kind of a spectrum. There's what I like to call zombie investors. These are the people that just hand over their hard-earned money to a financial advisor and say, I trust your decisions. You can invest this money for me, do whatever you need. Zombie investors, right? They're handed over, letting somebody else do everything. And then the other end of the spectrum is like Tony started with, a totally DIY investing. They're not going to work with a financial advisor in person, like a real person. They might have a robo-advisor. They might have that app on their phone. They might subscribe to newsletters or Facebook groups, right? And they're making all their decisions themselves. And then there's like a whole spectrum in between, right? And you might fall toward one end or the other end. I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about what does it look like to have a team without becoming a zombie, but also where you're still empowered and you can do it yourself. And your team is there more to empower you to do it even better yourself. So as you're building your financial future and you're implementing a lot of the 10 principles and foundations that we've talked through so far, you've come a long way. There's this danger of feeling like there are a lot of different directions you could go into. Which information do you act on? Are there micro adjustments that you want to try that you haven't been able to? Are the ones that you have been able to, are they even working? How can you get out of your own head, avoid getting lost, or maybe even give up entirely just from that sense of overwhelm? That's part of why we're big believers in the value of community. When Brandon and I think back to a really dark time in our lives where, which like we share actually the full story or most of the full story in the welcome part of Five Smooth Stones. When we think back to that time, we were just putting one foot in front of the other, hoping the tides would change. And in the midst of that season, it was really dark. But thankfully, we had a community around us that reminded us of who we are, how much we love each other, all kinds of really good, important reminders. And we might be in a very different place now had we not had those individuals in our lives and had been building relationships with them for a long time. But it's not just the hard seasons. Relationships have honestly been Brandon and my, like our family, it's been our bedrock. And when we think of we want to have a good life, that good life includes friends, family, mentors, coaches, teams, a wealth of relationships. Remember, when we talk about wisdom, wealth isn't just about money, it's also all types of wealth, including relationships. And honestly, relationship and relational wealth has been one of the greatest sources of contentment and happiness in our lives. We haven't always had the financial capital, but building social capital has always paid dividends. Now, we know that community isn't what a lot of people experience. We used to have people that would come into the coffee shop that we owned, and they would use coffee as an excuse to have a conversation. And we could tell they were lonely. They really were coming into our sphere, into the space to have social interaction, to fuel them for their day, not just the caffeine that was in their cup. That was, pre-pandemic. Since then, we've had this thing called COVID-19 and this whole pandemic where everyone was isolated, and we got to see a lot more tangibly the impacts of a lack of social interaction, right? We saw mental and emotional health decline considerably, especially for children and for young adults. Humans are social creatures, and yet it seems that there are more and more walls that divide us than bridges that unite us. There's more and more, consumerism that keeps us in front of our TV or in the shopping mall or, playing on our phones than gets us into relationship, having meals together, joining clubs and going bowling and, all kinds of fun things. And to make matters worse, money is one of those topics that's considered taboo to even bring up, even with close family. How many families you can't talk about money? You can't ask the grandparents, like, what's my inheritance? Or is there an inheritance? Do you have a plan for how you're gonna even pay for medical bills? And everywhere in between. And as much as we want connection, money might be the wedge keeping us from having it. Either we don't want to spend money to meet up with our friends and family because we're trying to be on a budget or whatever, or they don't have money to meet up with us, or we feel bad asking them because we know it's going to cost them something, and maybe they've shared with us that they might not be in the best place financially. Or maybe more often than not, we're too busy earning and spending money that we don't even get the time to craft deeper connections, right? That's often a lot of us. We're so busy making money, spending money, we crash at the end of the day. Can't even imagine having another social interaction. But what would it look like for you to have a few people that you can talk to about money? Maybe it starts in your own head, right? You've got me, myself, and I. Those are a few people. And you start talking about money. A lot of people need to start there. We're not even talking to ourselves about it, having thoughts about it. And then maybe we branch out from there to a partner, a spouse, a parent, a child, one other person that we could share what's been going on in our head and get their feedback, get their input, involve them along in the journey. Perhaps you might want to engage with somebody more distant first, like a therapist, a coach, a mentor, a financial professional. You'd want to be, pretty careful there with how you do that. But that's totally an option. If you're like, I can't even talk to my spouse about it, maybe if I say it to somebody else first, that'll help me figure out the language to bring to my spouse too. So here's the invitation. No matter where you're starting with your money team and building that relational capital of people that you can talk about money with, there's a really awesome way to move forward. So if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you have learned this acronym we call STILL, STILL. And we can apply that to a lot of different things. It's just a 5-step process. And what we would invite you to do is apply it to your money team. So the S is set your sights. Envision who's on this money team of your dreams. What characters are there? Who's your Thor, your Captain America, your Spider-Man, I don't know, all the Avengers or whatever your favorite team is. Like, who are those people for you? And then T, track your in and outs. This is maybe list your recent conversations about money, how they went, or if you haven't had any, that's a pretty good indication. Like you can start having some and then track how they go, who seems open to it. And then inspect your progress. Inspect your progress. Explore how those conversations build up or tear down your money team. And then look for a micro adjustment. The first L, look for a micro adjustment. What's that next conversation? How could you make that conversation a little better to help bring you closer to that vision of that money team that's working in harmony together? And then finally, live deliberately. Have that next conversation. Try out that micro adjustment. Reflect on how it goes. And then guess what? You can just rinse and repeat. See if there are good results. See if you have better conversations. See if your money team grows, expands, if you even have better thoughts about money yourself, whatever that looks like. It can be really that simple. Now, my biggest encouragement for you is that you only let people on your money team that are going to empower you to take more financial responsibility and control for yourselves. Those zombie investors I talked about it initially, don't let anyone take away your financial power like a zombie investor would. Your team should boost your capacity to make decisions, not diminish it. They should invite you to dream, not crush your dreams. If you share financial decisions with them as equal partners, you might have to have, some creative compromises sometimes, right? You might need to keep talking about decisions in order to find a win-win and, all those kind of things. But ultimately, your team members, they're going to bring different strengths. They're going to bring different perspectives, and you get to listen to them as wise counselors, people who know you, know your dreams, are on your team, like they're on your side. And you're on their side too, maybe, right? Like, especially if you're commingling money together. You want to be on their team. You want what's best for them too. And you're going to ultimately have the decision and the power are yours, not theirs, right? You're not handing it off, but also you are open and you're listening to them. You're taking what they share into account. You're not trying to do everything all on your own and that kind of thing. So before we start talking about some next steps, I do want to share something with you. I thought this was very interesting. Remember at the very top of the episode, I shared a type of investor that gets 75% of their investment decisions through an app on their phone, which is not a money team, right? A robot, an app, not a money team. So let me share this. So this is from December of 2022, Investors in the United States, The Changing Landscape. This is from FINRA, the FINRA Foundation. They're like a research arm of FINRA. And let's go back to page 22. I'm going to show you a couple of things from this that I found interesting. But this one, information sources. And they asked people that were doing their survey, how much do you rely on each of the following when making decisions of what to invest in? And you can see there is recommendations from financial professionals who advise you personally. This is the green is a great deal, the blue is somewhat. That was What is that? 66% of people said that. Investment research and tools provided by your brokerage or financial advisory firm, that was, looks like the largest of those combined. That was 83%, no, 73%. But then they have this one down here, popular investments displayed on a mobile trading app you use. And you notice this is only 38%. And there's a whole other list here. But I said there was a segment of the investors that it was 75% of them. This is actually on the next page. It said among investors who reported trading shares of GameStop, AMC, or BlackBerry in 2001, everybody remember Roaring Kitty, all of that, 75% of them indicated that they rely on investments displayed on their social or on their mobile trading app, and 69% of them on social media groups. So again, it's a correlation, not a causation. They're important to map that out. But they also said younger investors are less likely to use financial professionals and more likely to use social media as a source of investment information. And they've got a couple of graphs here showing broken down by age, their financial professionals, what age uses financial professionals, what age uses social media for investment information. And how many are they using? Younger people are actually more likely to use 6 or more sources of investment information than older folks in this example. And then they have this chart. I got to share this one. Social media channels used for information on investing. YouTube is number 1. So if you're catching us on YouTube, thanks for watching. They don't have podcasts on this list. That's not really, I guess that would fall under like blog or other kinds of information sharing. So maybe that's why they didn't put it here. But yeah, for over half of investors under 35 report using YouTube. And then there's Reddit, TikTok is way down there. I wonder how that's changed since 2022. Actually 2021 when they did the survey. I think they do this every 3 years, so they should be doing it this year, and we should see results for it next year as well. So they asked what types of vehicles people are using for investing. And while I know not all of these are actual investments, some of them are better than investments. Some of them are more on the safety side than the investing side. This is what FINRA chose. So for those that can't see my screen, if you're just listening to the podcast, you'll see they're doing, and this is FINRA, right? We're doing the survey. So of course we'd probably see a lot more people own stocks and mutual funds, but a close third behind them was whole life insurance and annuities. And then we got some ETFs and individual bonds as well. But in terms of 2021 results, it goes in percent of individuals owning different types of assets, individual stocks, mutual funds, then whole life insurance, ETFs, individual bonds, and then annuities. Kind of a fun fact there. Okay. If you aren't sure where to start with building your money team, I want you to spend a little bit of time reflecting. Who's already on your money team? Do they know they are? If not, tell them, right? Say hey, we do money together, or you're someone that I respect financially. I think you seem to have made some good decisions with money. Wanted to share that with you. See if you're willing to have a conversation about money with me, right? Tell them, spark those kinds of conversations. Alternatively, you might think, who do you want on your money team? Do you know someone like that? And maybe you ask them to join your team that way. What are some other micro adjustments that you could put together to start building your dream money team? I've got a really great idea for you that I'm going to let Ben introduce.
Ready to take the next step towards securing your financial future? Whether you're planning for retirement, saving for your dream home, or you just want to make your money work harder for you, the team at Wealth Wisdom Financial are ready to assist you. And now, it's easier than ever to see how we might give you a boost on your financial journey.
Schedule a 15-minute discovery call with one of us today.
And let's discuss your questions and your financial goals together.
Don't wait any longer. Your financial freedom awaits. Schedule your discovery call at www.wealthwisdomfp.com/call.
Okay, there you have it. We love being on people's money teams, being that sounding board, talk things through, help them make good decisions, and be one of their best cheerleaders in their lives. If you're looking for somebody like that, we would love to have that 15-minute call and see if we're a good fit to work together, be part of that relationship. The other thing we have, and I want to make sure we share this, is we actually have an online community called the Wealth Wisdom Financial Community, where we bring people together and we share resources, information, things that will help people make really good decisions, like should you really be using 401k loans, right? Like that was one of our recent articles there. We also do thought pieces to help with mindset. So that conversation, right? The me, myself, and I in my head, that part can improve too. And then we get together a couple times a month to practice doing financial stuff together, to have some real talk, and really give each other boosts along our financial journeys. We're the facilitators of the conversation. We're there to learn along with you. And so we've made it super accessible, super amazing for folks to be a part of. You can go to wealthwisdomfp.com/community to find all the details. We are going to be making some changes in the community coming up this summer. So if you're catching this in the summer of 2024 when it first comes out, it's a great time to join because some of those changes might mean that we are going to increase the price for people in the future. So join now. There's actually a 1-month free trial. You can try it out before you have to pay anything. So go check it out. It's wealthwisdomfp.com/community. I'd love to see you in there, and come to one of our events coming up. Let us know how we can support you, whether you're a client or you're just meeting us for the very first time. We don't give investment advice in that community, but we do support and encourage each other and help people increase their financial literacy. Oh, that's one of the things I didn't get to in that FINRA report. They also gave their a 10-question survey, and that was basic financial literacy, especially if you're going to be an investor. And they found that most individuals only got 4 or 5 questions right. It was like 4.7 was the right amount. And it was only like maybe 3 for younger folks and maybe 5 for older folks. Like it wasn't too big of a difference. And we want to increase that financial literacy, help you make great decisions. So it's part of why we do this community. We think that should be super accessible for everyone. So keep learning, keep growing, but also keep doing that in relationship with others. It's actually one of the best ways to learn and grow. I'll see you in there. Again, it's wealthwisdomfp.com/community. And when you join, be on the lookout. You might just get a special discount code for 5 smooth stones as well. Okay, we'll talk to you again soon. Take care and live long and profit. The topics presented in this podcast are for general information only and not for the purposes of providing legal, accounting, or investment advice. On such matters, please consult a professional who knows your specific situation.